Hey there, welcome back. Today, I just wanted to sit down here and talk with you a little bit. This won't really be a traditional ASMR video. Sometimes I wonder if this is even really an ASMR channel anymore, or if it's just a Devan sits down and speaks from her heart and works through her stuff channel. So I appreciate you being here with me, and just to put it out there right at the beginning, the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video is pet loss. So if you have recently lost a pet, or if this is a topic that is sensitive for you, I just wanted to let you know. I wanted to share my own experience because I know it will be helpful for me, and I hope that maybe it will be helpful for others who have gone through this kind of loss or might be experiencing it right now. But I also recognize that it's a really, really tender topic. And so if it's not something that you're up for listening or hearing about right now, I totally understand. So just please take care of yourself. And I'm not going to go into any, really grim details of anything. I just wanted to take some time to share with you a little bit about the loss of my dog Hazel. And I did a post on our community tab letting you know that she had died and sharing a little bit about her, and I shared some pictures of her, and I posted there a video that I had made with her and my cat a couple of years ago. Hazel had cameos in quite a few of my videos, but that was one where she was the main attraction, so I wanted to share all of that with you. And even having done all that, it just didn't seem right to just go back to recording videos as usual without taking a little time to honor her memory and to share how I'm feeling with you all. And I just want to start by saying thank you to all of you for being so kind and so understanding and sharing your experience with me, and so many encouraging words and quotes and things that you shared with me that really, really helped, especially in those early days. It's only been a little over a week since she passed, so it's still very, very fresh, but all of your support and your kindness really helped me, so thank you. And you all have just been an amazing community of support and love to me ever since I started this channel. And last year, when everything was happening with Justin and his mental health crisis at that time and his recovery since, you all have just been such an anchor to me, and being able to come and sit down and connect with you and share what I'm truly feeling has just been an incredible gift to me. So thank you for that. And like I said, I just wanted to take a moment here to honor Hazel. Hazel May was her name. Her actual full name was Hazel May Thunderbird, because when we first were getting her, my godson, who was little at the time and is now a teenager, said maybe her middle name should be Thunderbird. So we gave her another middle name. She had many, many, many nicknames. That's one of the things we have been doing to honor her memory, is I started a Google Doc to list as many of her nicknames as we could think of, because that brings us joy. And Hazel was 13 years old-ish. We don't know exactly how old she was or her exact birthday because she was a rescue dog. And she came from Houston, Texas. She was a stray on the streets of Houston that was picked up and brought into a shelter and was on the list to be put down because her time there was coming up to a close, because as that often happens, the shelters just are overflowing, and so dogs can only stay there for a certain amount of time. And Hazel, fortunately, was pulled out of the shelter by a rescue group, and someone fostered her and took care of her for a few months. And then we connected very serendipitously with that foster group and were able to adopt Hazel, and she traveled on a transport truck all the way from Houston to New England and became our special girl. And she was Justin's very first dog. He didn't have dogs growing up, and so she was extra special in that way. And one of the reasons we chose Hazel when we were looking through many, many dogs through different rescues was because they had indicated that she would be good with cats. And at the time that we adopted her, we actually had 3 cats. Yes, we are truly animal lovers, and she was wonderful with our cats from the very beginning. And that was the thing that was just the most remarkable about Hazel, is that she was the kindest, gentlest, sweetest soul I have ever known. She just didn't have an aggressive bone in her body. She was just kind and loving and sweet to everyone, to other dogs, to other animals, to people of all ages. She was really good with little kids and babies. We always said that she could be, like baby's first dog, because she met lots of really little kids who were able to pet her and kind of have their first experience with a dog, because she was so gentle, and we knew, even if they startled her or something like that, that she wouldn't react. I have a memory of a party we took her to back when we first got her, and there was a little toddler there bouncing a ball, and he kept bouncing the ball like literally off of Hazel's face and her snout, and she just didn't mind at all. She was very patient. And because she had some herding dog in her, I'll talk in a little bit about what exactly kind of dog she was, but she always just had this instinct to take care of people and to make sure that everybody was okay. And if she was in a group of people, she would always be going around from person to person and kind of herding everyone and making sure we were okay. And she would check the perimeter of the room, and she was very protective of people, but again, not in an aggressive way, just in a very kind, grounding, loving way. And so she was about 2, we think, when we got her. And so we had her for just about 11 years. It would have been 11 years in June since we got her. And we just had so many wonderful, fun adventures with her. Like I said, because she was so gentle and so adaptable, we could take her with us most places that we went. She went to a lot of parties and gatherings, and she went on road trips with us. And she really was our companion through a lot of the experiences of our life. And particularly just in this past year, last year was just this time last year, when Justin experienced his manic episode and period of psychosis and was in the hospital, and I was dealing with a lot. Hazel was really my comfort and my strength, and she didn't leave my side. I mean, she really didn't leave my side. She was very close to me all the time, and really, gave me something to hold on to. And when I was here at home by myself, when Justin was in the hospital, having her and our cat, Yurichi, here with me, just, made me feel not so alone. And Hazel really, really took care of me. And she was just so sweet, and she was a great cuddler. She loved to just be hugged and petted, and you could just, put your arms around her and give her a big hug. And, not every dog will let you do that. And she loved to be scratched on the head. And she would just look at you with her big, beautiful brown eyes, and she was just really a reassurance and a comfort to me through those tough times. And something really cool is that we had never been exactly sure, what type of dog she was. She was a mutt. They had said that she was Australian cattle dog, which is also called red heeler, slash pit bull slash terrier mix when we adopted her. And she definitely had the spots of the red heeler. They are very spotted. There are also blue heelers, which are like a bluish gray and black spotted dog, but she didn't really have the personality of a red heeler. They are usually quite energetic dogs, herding dogs, and Hazel was very lazy. She was not a super active dog. She did like to go on walks and hikes, but she was not a fetcher or anything like that. We said she used to sit and watch other dogs fetching and be like, well, I'll be, look at that. And she would just watch other dogs run back and forth and fetch, but she didn't have any interest in that really. But so we had said for years, oh, we should do the DNA test on her to find out what she really is, and we just had never done it. And so just a few months ago, just in December, I decided, you know what, we should do this. I mean, we knew Hazel was in her senior years. We didn't think we were going to lose her quite as soon as we did, but I'm just so happy that we did that. We did it through Embark, which is a really funny, cute little name for a doggy breed identity service, and a friend of ours had done it for their dog and recommended that brand, so that's why we did it. And we found out what Hazel's breed makeup was, and so she was about a third Australian cattle dog slash red heeler, which we thought. She also had a big percentage of pit bull, which we also thought. But what was also cool is she was about 20% American bulldog, which we didn't necessarily think of. And I had always thought she had kind of a stocky, kind of a bully kind of stance to her, kind of broad shoulders, and could be very stubborn if she didn't want to move. She could make herself, be a pile of bricks if she was in a spot and didn't want to move from it. And so that was just neat to find out that she had the bulldog in her, and then also a bit of American Staffordshire Terrier. And then the rest of her, they said, was super mutt, which just meant that it was a blend of a lot of breeds, but some ones that they could pick up of that she might have had little parts of were Lab and Doberman Pinscher, which I thought was kind of cool because of her pointy ears, and I could definitely see some of those elements in her, and then Australian Shepherd. And so that was just a really neat experience to get to look at her breed results and kind of see how they estimated that her family tree might have been, between her parents and what breeds they might have been. And I'm just really, really glad that we did that, because I would have been sad if she had died before we had gotten to do that, because it just gave us a more complete picture of who she was. And she always had really, really good health through the years. She was in pretty sorry shape when we first adopted her. She had heartworm, and she's always had issues with one of her back legs that they never knew, we could never really determine, but vets thought either she'd had an accident when she was young, or it might have just been from malnourishment, that one of her back legs was kind of twisted, and so her back legs were always kind of turned out, and she didn't have the strongest back legs, even from when we first got her. But we fed her really good food and gave her the best care that we could, and she got well and got over the heartworm and got stronger and stronger, and all through most of her life she was very robust and healthy. And then just over the last few months, just since the fall, she had started experiencing some restlessness where she just couldn't settle down at night, and she was whining, which she normally would never do. She's a dog that never, ever, ever barked, except in her sleep when she was dreaming. And back in her younger days, she used to like to chase a light, like you could do a laser pointer for her, like you would a cat. Or if there was light coming through a door, like the window in a door, and you move the door back and forth, and that light went back and forth across the floor, she would chase that. And sometimes she would bark at the light, which was very charming. But she never really made much noise. And so when she started whining and just being more vocal, that was something different for her, and just having trouble settling down and resting at night. So we were working with our vet, and she had been taking medicine for arthritis and a little bit of medicine for anti-anxiety, and things had started to get better for her, and she was doing okay. But Justin and I just knew that she was in, the sunset of her life. And so he and I had both been trying to deal with the idea of losing her, because we knew that that was going to be inevitable. I think we both kind of thought she would be around for another year or two. I just kept saying to myself I wanted her to have one more good summer this summer. But that was not meant to be. It was a week ago, not last weekend, but the weekend before, she just really started to go downhill really quickly. She seemed to be losing strength. She couldn't stand. She couldn't keep herself standing up. And she just really seemed like she was at the end of her life. And I won't go into a lot of the medical details of exactly what happened with her, but I'm very thankful that she was not in any extreme pain. She didn't have anything traumatic happen. We didn't have to deal with anything traumatic right at the end. It was basically just her kind of weakening and slowing down, and we just kind of knew that it was time. So last Sunday night, a week ago Sunday, we ended up staying up with her all night that night, because that's when things had really become acute. And we both really thought she wasn't going to last the night. We thought she was going to pass away during the night. And so we stayed up with her, and we cuddled with her and loved on her and told her how much we loved her, and tried to work through some of our own emotions about what was happening. And our cat stayed very close by our side too, by Hazel's side, and that was very sweet through all of that. And she did end up still lasting into the next morning. And again, she wasn't, it's not like she was gasping or in pain or anything like that. She just seemed really, really, really weak. And so we took her that morning after having a nice morning with her, and again, some more cuddles, and just kind of preparing for the fact that we probably were not going to be bringing her back home. We took her to an emergency vet, where they were very, very kind and compassionate to us, because we'd been up all night and we were distraught, and they were just wonderful. And they did confirm that she had some pretty extreme stuff going on. I will share with you that she had a splenic tumor that had not been detected in any of her previous vet visits, but it was really big and was likely bleeding internally, which was why she was so weak. And we just made the decision on the vet's recommendation that it was time, and that we should have her put down. So we did that while we were there at the vet. And again, they were just so kind, so compassionate to us. It's obviously hard for me to talk about, and I'm probably about reached my capacity and how much I can talk about this. So I want to be gentle with myself, and also gentle with your level of compassion. I don't want this to be too emotional or too difficult for you to listen to as well. But I will just say that we had a really, really lovely last sort of parting time with Hazel. She was taken very good care of. She was treated with such respect and gentleness, and we were right there with her. We got to say our goodbyes and hold her and kiss her on the head, which we always did, and hold her paw. And our family, we always hold hands with our dogs, and we call it holdy paws. So we had holdy paws with her, and I sang to her, and we just had a really lovely goodbye with her. And then when it was time, and we were able to let her go, and she passed on very, very peacefully. She didn't have anything extreme happen right at the end. It was just very peaceful, and we're really, really grateful for that. And so we're just really thankful to all those folks who helped us that day, and it really was as peaceful and as calm of a passing for her as it possibly could have been. Okay, had to take a little break there for a little bit of nose blowing and tear wiping away. But thank you for listening to Hazel's story. I really appreciate you holding space for me to talk about this and share my feelings. And I just send a lot of love out to all of you who are pet lovers and animal people. I know there are a lot of us, and it just really is a very unique kind of loss when a pet leaves us, because they're such an integral part of our day-to-day routines, and they support us and are there for us in very unique ways, and they love us so unconditionally. That was, one of you shared a quote that I hadn't heard before that really touched my heart, that I don't remember it exactly, but it was basically that we love pets so much because the only time they break our hearts is when theirs stops beating. And I just thought that was so true, because I think with other humans that we love, we are human, and it doesn't matter how much you love someone, you can't help sometimes hurting them or disappointing them or making them angry, or, we have our human interactions that just happen, and we can't help that. And I just think it's so unique with a pet, because Hazel loved us so unconditionally. She really did. And that was just really, really very special. And so my heart goes out to any of you who might also be experiencing this kind of loss, or even if you experienced it a long time ago, it still can really live in our hearts and can be difficult. And so I thank you for your care for me, and I am also sending my care to you. And I do encourage everyone to seek the support that they need during this time, whether that's from friends and family, or from a therapist, or from some kind of a support group. I actually attended last week an online support group for people who had lost pets, and that was really, really helpful to just hear other people's stories and be in community with people who were hurting in the same way at the same time, and to hear about everyone's ideas for how they're going to honor their pet's memory and that sort of thing. I will mention that we will be getting Hazel's ashes, and we'll be getting a paw print of her that they did for us, and we are going to scatter her ashes at a place that we used to take her to go hiking. We took her there the very first day we had her. The day after we had picked her up, we took her for a hike to a beautiful waterfall near us. And then in her later years, she couldn't quite hike all the way to the waterfall, but we would still take her to that trail. And we had a lot of good times last summer in particular on that trail, and that's something I'm so grateful for. Is last summer, because Justin was in his recovery, we were just being very mindful about things. We were spending a lot of time outside, and we had a lot of nice outdoor adventures with Hazel, and she got to frolic by the brook and drink out of the brook and, sniff around and be in nature, and that was just really special. And I'm so glad we had those times with her, and we took her to some outdoor eating places last year, which was really fun. She got to share some hamburgers with us, and I mean, it was just a really, really beautiful summer with her. And I think I had been thinking in my mind, oh, I just wanted to have one more summer with Hazel, but I've now been reflecting on what a beautiful summer we had last year and just all the beautiful years that we had with her. And this is a big lesson, in not grasping, in not, thinking that we didn't do enough. I think that's a typical thing with this kind of loss. You think, oh, did we do enough for her? Could we have done more? That was something that came up a lot in the support group I attended, but I know that we gave Hazel a beautiful life that she would not have had otherwise, and I'm just thankful for every single day that we had together. So this is definitely a very, very tender, emotional time for me. The fact that this happened right coinciding with the 1-year anniversary of when Justin experienced his manic episode and his psychosis and was in the hospital. And for those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that story. I have some videos that talk about our mental health journey. If you are interested in hearing more about that, I'll link those down in the description. But Justin is doing incredibly well, as I talked about in my last video, and I'm so thankful for that. But of course, I'm still going to have emotions come up during this time. I think I need to get some water. There we go. I'm glad I remembered to bring my water this time. Tiny bit of tapping for you. Of course, I think it's inevitable that emotions would come up for me at this time, just remembering everything that happened and how difficult it was when Justin was going through that and everything that we went through following his episode and all of his recovery. And so it's interesting because we're kind of back to that place again that we had been last spring when Justin was recovering, especially after he came down from the mania and then dipped into a depression, and we were trying to take care of ourselves as best we could during that time, and we really were just getting back to the basics of self-care. And that's what I'm doing right now as I'm in this period of grief, of really trying to honor what I'm feeling as far as losing Hazel and not push it away, not numb it out. I'm so thankful that Justin and I are sober and clear-eyed and can really process these emotions. Even though they're hard, we can be here with them. And so we are doing our best to eat regularly and nourish ourselves, to do our yoga, to take walks, to listen to music and do things that nourish our souls, and to make sure that we're resting. Thankfully, I have been able to sleep lately, which is really good. I struggled with that for a long time. And just being really gentle and kind with ourselves. And so I encourage all of you, whatever you're going through right now, we all are always struggling with something. I just really encourage you to be as kind to yourself as possible and really bring in a lot of compassion and a lot of love for yourself and for your own strength and for how far you've come and for what an amazing person you are. We are all capable of dealing with these things that are part of being human. Sometimes it's really, really hard, but I'm proud of me and I'm proud of you. So I don't even know if what I'm saying is making any sense at this point. I think this might be the most emotional I've been in a video with you. Right now, these emotions they feel very pure, and I guess the other big blessing is that Justin is here with me. He is well, and he and I can process these things together. So maybe I should stop rambling since I think I'm kind of not making sense anymore. But the one other thing I wanted to say was what a gift to me this channel is. And I have to admit, because of this happening with Hazel, I am just in this mode right now of complete surrender. I have been trying, friends, for so long to start my business, my wellness coaching business. You know, I finished training for that right when Justin had his episode, and so that was all put on hold. And then since Justin has been so much better, I was kind of trying to start down that path again, and then things started happening with Hazel's health, and then this happened. And honestly, I've just kind of given up for now. I'm not giving up on that path for myself, but I'm just surrendering, and I'm going to stop trying to get my business going or do anything at all. I am just letting myself rest, and I'm kind of giving up on any kind of productivity. I'm giving up on trying to accomplish things. I am just surrendering to rest and to taking care of myself. But it's interesting that the one thing I do not want to give up on is this channel. And it's always interesting because whenever I'm going through rough emotional times, sometimes I do need to take a little break from making videos just because I don't have the energy for it. But you might think that I might say, oh, well, I'm going to take a month off from making videos or something like that, you know, to help myself recover during this time. But I just get to a point where I really miss making videos for you, and it feeds my soul to come on here and create for you and be in community with you in this way. So I'm just so thankful to all of you for being here, because without you, this couldn't be happening. We couldn't have this two-way street of ASMR. And I always think of Paris ASMR, who's one of my favorite creators, and he talks about this miracle of connection that we have because I put forth my intention as a creator to share my heart. Oh my goodness, I just had to pause again because my heater kicked on. I forgot I even had it turned on, and suddenly it was whooshing really loudly. But I just was saying that I love this idea, and this is something that Paris ASMR talks about, this miracle of connection of ASMR, that through this medium of video, I can put forth my intention and my feelings and my care for you, and you can receive it. And through that loop of connection, something really special and something really significant can happen. And it's a form of human connection that is facilitated by technology that is really amazing and something that I'm really thankful for. So, thank you always for being here with me, my friends. This is pretty raw Devan right here. So thank you for being present for it. And I will be back soon with some more ASMR. I love doing that for you. So I appreciate your care, and it means so much to me to be able to provide some care and some relaxation for you. So take good care of yourself. Rest well. And I will see you again very soon.